Well, good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. I want to talk about people today, specifically good people. And I suppose it's talking about good people. We're going to have to touch a little bit on bad people, but I want to concentrate on good people because I think people need to concentrate on that a little bit more. Grab yourself something, by the way, grab yourself something to sip on while we talk. I'm drinking today out of our first annual gathering mug. There you go. And I'm in the process of designing the new mugs for the second annual gathering. Come on up October 4th. So be there. Just a second. So be there if you can. It's going to be October 4th in the Kansas City area on the Kansas side, a beautiful area. And I'll be giving more information, particulars on that here real soon. Putting it up on the website and all. There's going to be a lot of great people there. But anyway, so I started my day as I always do. I get up, I pray, I make my first cup of coffee, and I go in and I listen to a devotional on a channel that I listen to every morning while I drink my first cup of coffee. And in that devotional, it was talking about the love of God and how the love of God is unchangeable. I mean, it talks about how, people will betray you, friends will betray you, and things like this. And, I mentioned a few days ago, a few videos ago, that I had watched another channel that says, everybody will betray you. And I thought, no, I don't know about that. So anyway, while this was playing this devotional, I thought, and I went back through my life and I said, I don't think I've ever had a friend betray me. And I think right now, some people out there might be going, wow, I mean, that's unusual. You're lucky. Well, I don't know if I'm lucky. I'm a hard judge of people. That's why I don't consider many people friends, and I'm pretty discerning. And I can tell when a person, I can see through BS. I'll just put it that way. And I can tell when a person's a good person or not. But I've, whether I'm lucky or not, I don't know, but I'm fortunate and my life has worked out well. And I don't think I have ever been betrayed by a friend, okay? Acquaintances, co-workers, things like that. There's always some snits in the crowd, that don't like you or talk behind your back. So what? They're not friends. And only friends can truly hurt you because you know who your enemies are and you're watching out for them, right? Well, I started, I'll plug this in here for a minute. I started out today, and I have to say, I am fortunate. I am surrounded in my life by good people. I really am. After I got done with that, I noticed I had a message from Mark Harrison. Those of you who know him, you met him at the gathering of last year. If you are on our Patreon channel, and if you're not, why not? For crying out, what are you waiting for? We put so much good stuff over on the Patreon channel. You're missing out on a lot. Just cost you $1 a month. It's down below. The link is down below. So I had a little chat with him on text and found out what each of us were doing today. And then the next thing, I get a text from Mike Morton. Mike's down in Colombia, South America. Mike is the author of Balkanized, The Collapse of the American Union. I've talked about this book before. It's a brilliant book. You need to get it. But he did he sent me something, a chat that he had with Chat GPT. Now, some of you know that I don't remember if I did it on YouTube or whether this was just on Patreon, but I read a portion of a chat that a pastor had with Chat GPT, and it was very interesting. Well, Mike said he found that fascinating, but he decided to do his own. And so he did, and he sent me the whole transcript. And it was a lot better than the one that I read from the pastor. and it was fascinating. Fascinating. I would read it to you, except I got the message on this phone that I'm talking into right now, and I don't think so. I can't read it at the same time that I'm recording this. But later on in the day, I'll see if my son can show me how to get that chat onto something, copy it onto something else, and when I get a chance, if I can, I will read it to you. But it was fascinating, his chat with ChatGPT. And one of his questions was, will the United States balkanize? Will it split? Will it fragment? And then what areas would it be, and what groups would be involved, and what would cause it, and all this. And I'm not going to get into that until I can read it myself. But what I found, but the answers were fascinating. And what I found interesting was that the fragmentation, the balkanization, in many ways closely aligned with the split in the country that I described in my books. I'm not going to show you my books yet because we're still catching up on orders, and I'm not going to advertise them until I've got all the orders fulfilled, which maybe in a few weeks. We'll see. We've got 2 big loads coming in. So anyway, this is a fascinating book. You should get it. You should read it. You'll want to read this 2 or 3 times. And you can get it on Amazon. Just Michael Morton, Balkanized, The Collapse of the American Union. So I had a nice chat with Mike for a while. Isn't the world great that you can get up in the morning and talk to people on other continents? And then I got a message from Parker Kelly, the author of A Shattered World, In the Wake of Chaos. I'm just about to get started on Parker's book this weekend, hopefully. I meant to do it last weekend, but this week was just, wow, I just got snowed under, so I can't wait to get back to it. I've read a few pages of it, and I like it. And so I'm going to get back to it, and I read a few pages to Kelly. She liked it. And so we're going to get back to that. And had a chat with Parker. Parker is going to be at the gathering. She and her husband coming up from way down in Texas, in the lower part of Texas, in the part of Texas that in my books I have controlled by the cartels. So be careful, Parker. And they're coming, and her husband is a retired law enforcement officer. So I'm looking forward to meeting him. But she's going to be at the gathering on October 4th. And I didn't tell you this, Parker, but feel free to bring books to sell. Okay, bring books to sell. Feel free. So if she can, and she'll probably get back to me and let me know if she's going to or not, or if she can or whatever. Now this is a hardback, man. I don't put mine out in hardback. I put mine out in paperback. But this is cool. So bring books, Parker, and anybody who would like to buy a book from Parker, maybe, she will be there to sign them for you. She'll get back to me, and I'll let you know whether she's going to be able to do that or not. But wouldn't that be great for you to be able to buy her books signed from her at the event? And seemed like there was one more thing I was going to say about that. Oh yeah, anybody else out there? Now Mike, I don't think he's going to be there. He's down in Colombia, South America. He's already made his trip to the States. I think he makes about 1 trip to the States a year. So he probably won't be there at the gathering, but buy his books off Amazon. Now, anybody else that has something, or you do something, do you make stuff? Do you sell stuff? Do you have a little business? Bring your stuff. Feel free to bring your stuff to the gathering. Sell it to the good, fine people who are going to be there. This is not. I want to say that the gathering is not an open for the public kind of thing. It's not. We're not trying to put on a prepper convention or weekend or anything like that. It's just a private thing for stoneminders and people who watch this channel, integrative preparedness followers and things like that. And it's just a great bunch of folks. So we don't know how big it will be. 50 to 100, probably something like that. 50 to 100 of the best people in the world. We go for quality, not quantity. One more sip. And did I say, yeah, I did. I'm already designing the cup the mug for the next one. We'll have T-shirts, and maybe my new book will be ready by then. We will see all about the books. Okay. So good people. People is one of the most important things you can have in your life, not just after the collapse, but right now. If you ask any person who is successful, if you ask any business person, what's one of the most important things in his success or her success, they will say people. It's the people you know. I made one some time back, about quite a while back, and I said, is it what you know or who you know? And I said it's both. It's what you know about who you know. Okay, and I don't mean like, do you know dirt on them? I mean, what do you know about these people? They're good people. They shady on the edge. They're people you want to stay away from. Are they people that you really feel good doing business with? What do you know? What are their strengths? Okay, what are their skills? You should know people in a wide variety of occupations and socioeconomic levels and things like that. People who have a tendency to just kind of bring themselves in, and a lot of preppers are like this, who just kind of go the hermit route and stay close. They have kept themselves from one of the most important things they can have, and that is a circle of friends. That's what I call my group, a circle of friends. But it's not just the inner circle, the core circle. It's the circle out from that, and the circle out from that. Like a pebble in a pond. The ripples out there. You have family. You have framily, which I call friends who are like family, and then you have friends, and then you have acquaintances, and then you have associates, and then acquaintances, and things like that. But the more people you know, that is your safety net. That's your strength. That's so somebody needs something and you can't do it, but you know somebody who can do it, and you hook them up. But in order to have that strong, you need to be a good judge of people. You need to be discerning. Too many people, and I know there have been people talk about MAGs all the time, mutual assistance groups, and most of them fall apart. And you've heard me talk about this before, that I'm not a believer in creating pre-collapse MAGs for that specific purpose, because you're bringing together people with that specific interest. And when you're just coming together and dealing with that, in many cases, you're not getting to know the real part of the people. Okay. And you might find out at the wrong time that, they don't believe the same things you do, and they feel differently about some important things than you do, and that causes problems. And that's why most MAGs, not all, there are some who do it right, and they get to know each other, and they fellowship together, and they get to know each other and become friends. But most MAGs aren't like that. Most of them fall apart. Ego, difference of opinions, whatever. But your MAG, if that's what you want to call it, or your circle of friends, should just be your life right now. You should be developing, and not specifically out of a mercenary way. Like, I'm very fortunate. My circle of friends include, all sorts of disciplines. Just everything from medical, from paramedic to doctors to law enforcement to military to little old ladies who can make great soup, things like that. And everybody's an important part of it, but everybody's an important part of it when they come together in a cohesive group, brought together by their common beliefs and their common personality traits. And I don't mean that everybody has to act the same. What I mean is that they respect the same things. Okay, for instance, I don't like rude people, so I don't deal with rude people. I don't have any rude people in my circle of friends. No, I'm just not going to deal with them. If they weren't raised right to act right, I don't feel any desire to re-raise them or try to, because you can't do that. If you see that somebody is willing to play a little bit outside the lines, it's kind of like In regular life, that's a no go. You know, no go. If you see somebody is willing to you know, fudge a little bit, no, no. Now, when it's life and death, there are no rules, right? So I understand that. Uh, but good people are one of your most important resources. And you don't really have to go out and try to find them. If you're trying to find someone, if you're trying to find people to join your group, you're going to find the wrong ones, okay? It's like trying to find love in all the wrong places, right? Looking for love in all the wrong places. I never liked that song, but it's one of those things that, you know, became a saying. That's true. Going out there and trying to find, you know, the right people to include in your group is like going to the bars looking for love, looking for a husband or a wife. You know, there are some people who have met their beloveds in those places, but you know, that's the wrong way to go about it. How do you find good people? You live your life. You just live your life. You live your life, I will say this, you live your life according to God's direction. That's the first thing that I do every morning as I pray. Say, Lord, lead me according to your will and use me for your purpose. And he will lead you down the right path. And when you see yourself starting to get off a little bit because you got an idea in your head and you say, I think I want to do that. And if it's not his will, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. You're going to get a lesson, but it's not going to work out. But you live your life. And you just do what you should do. And you don't try to be somebody that you're not. And you don't pursue people. You just live life in the world. If you live life in the world, now I know that it's a little more difficult for people who live rurally or in small towns. But I mean, where I live, you know, I mean, I'm surrounded by people all the time, and I don't mind it a bit. I like it. I like people, to be honest. Most people are pretty good folks. Now, they may be weak in some areas, and you push them down the road far enough, and you're going to see where their weaknesses are. And usually it's not like a betrayal. It's just that they don't understand the world, or they won't stand up when they should, or whatever. You know, you see that. But when you live your life, you cross paths with a whole lot of people. And when you're crossing paths with a whole lot of people, you're going to stumble on those few. Those few, those that 1% or 2% or 3%, whatever, that are just, that you recognize, this is my kind of person. And they will, you know, if that's true, they'll recognize it back in you. So this wasn't the one that I had really intended to make today. I just came in. I'm headed out to Jim Bridger's grave to do one on what the world's really going to be like after a collapse. So, but when I started the morning here, and that devotional talked about friends betraying you, and I thought I'd never had one betray me, and then I got the, you know, calls from you know, the three people, and you know, you put yourself out there. Put yourself out there. You will make more contacts than you can believe, and some of those are just going to be great. Okay, so stay away from the bad ones. Be wary, be on guard, but be open to the good ones. And just, you know, do it the right way. Like I say, not in a mercenary way. Don't say, oh, this guy's a doctor, I want to make friends with him. That's the wrong way. That's the wrong, you know, that's like a, it's kind of gold diggerish, right? Like a woman saying, oh, he's got money, I want him. Don't pick your friends like that. Not for what they can do for you, but for who they are. Because that will bring more quality into your life. All right? All right. Hey, remember the gathering is going to be on October 4th. don't worry, I'll start advertising my books again in a little bit. You can still get my books off of Amazon. That link's down below. Just on my series. Gathering coming up October 4th. I will be talking more about that. So plan it. And I'm going to get out to Jim Bridger's grave here and have another talk. So remember, like it says on the back of our mugs, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And having the right friends, knowing the right people, such an important part of that. Okay? All right. You all have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.